трудности моря, но хватит, забыла сирена, и мы быстро прыгаем в воду. Мы жить не привыкли на суше, мы любим нырять и купаться, аквалангисты. Это хорошо, да, и взрослые знают, и дети, мы радость творим на планете. Аквалангисты, это не игра. Меня укусила акула, тебя укусила акула, ее укусила акула, да нас всех укусила акула. Аквалангисты, это не игра.
Yes, indeed, there are points now on the channel. Now, granted, this is all very much a work in progress yet, just like, for instance, the channel emotes and channel badges for the subscribers, but all of that is coming, believe you me, in that regard. Now then, good evening, afternoon, or whatever time of the day it is in your part of the world, and tonight we're going back to Hong Kong. We're busting it out of Crate's stronghold, because I don't think fiefdom is applicable to it just yet. After all, she has definite power only in that police station, and not, say, elsewhere. There we go. And what I will say is that I am immensely pleased to see you all around here. I knew you'd say that. Of course, first point suggestions hydrate and stretch, as expected. I will consider it, don't you worry. There is a high chance I will implement it. Just give me a tiny bit, and we can continue where we left off. Enjoy the music in the meantime. Speaking of hydration, I will take a sip of water. It was this one. Yeah, this one. Right now, if I recall correctly, we are going down into the motor pool, and I think it would be a prudent call for us to sabotage some of the vehicles on our way out. But of course, we are immediately starting in combat. So let's see how this one goes. Otherwise, yeah, should be good enough. And there we go. I think there's only these two that we can see so far, so it's not too terrible. I think we do need to make more use of strip armor. You can never go wrong with strip armor after all. Even though it's a shame we cannot see the more armored target. Finally watching this one on a big screen, huh? That is good to hear. Very, very good. Wonderful. you bunch of bastards. You've followed us around, haven't you? Oh, I can tolerate this no longer. No, we'll do it like that. I don't think using the grenade launcher would be a good call in here, so back to using the double tap. Or no, not double tap yet, just single shots because we are in a bit of a precarious situation, but nothing that cannot be dealt with, I can tell you this much. Especially with shots like these. Anything else where detective can bring to bear? Of course. Nice. Very nice. You, however, I expect to die immediately. Please. That was not enough. I guess we're gonna do it the old-fashioned way. Now, Gaichu, can you reach him? Of course you can. That's precisely why I took you on. More coming, I'm guessing. Let's see. Not yet, I suppose. We just need to get to there. This access panel appears to serve as the user interface for the motor pool's charging grid. A small display and a backlit keyboard have been mounted by the machine. Judging by what you can see on the display, it looks like the whole system has been password locked. Now, do we know the password? Powerful links. Thank you. Search the system for something that you can use. A few minutes of sifting through menu screens is enough to convince you of two things. One, that the designers of this system value flexibility over security, and two, that the firmware itself is way more powerful than a typical end user would need. With a flip of a few switches and the disengagement of a few safeties, you could probably melt the entire grid down. You can even do it from a distance if you routed control to your PDA first. And we will do that. Load your PDA with the overload subroutines. With a flip of a few switches, you reroute the system to accept your PDA as an input. In theory, you should now be able to overload the motor pool's charging units with a touch of a button. There they are. Not seeing anyone just yet. But I have a feeling they will be coming naturally. So just gotta be a bit more careful. It's quiet. I need to get over here. I'm not seeing anything else, so I suppose we're safe for the time being. Just as I say that, it's like the game knew. At least they're just running around like headless chickens. I do hate when I miss those 82% shots. But some things are just inevitable. And that's why we have Guy Chu on standby. He won't miss this time, surely. Thank you. And if we go over here... Yep, there you go. One more shot. And there we go. A little better now. What's not a little better is another one of you with a shock trooper. You will pay for that. I guarantee you that my revenge will be very, very meaningful. Especially if we do it like that, drain your AP while we are at it. That's precisely what I want to see. Now, can we finally make use of our grenade launcher, please? We can. Thank you, Lord. If you stand still a little more, this should make things a little easier, but it's never too easy in this line of work. That was perhaps a bit of an overkill on my end. It was a big old kaboom that I did not expect to go off at this part. Rather, this much. Like a powder keg, blow up a police vehicle in the motor pool. Let's focus on this guard. Enforcer. And there we go. We can continue on our way. If I can stop burning, that would be also very appreciated, but I suppose you can't always get what you want. Anyone else? Ah, of course. A guard and a mage. Not too pleasant, but nothing we cannot deal with. Yes, you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you might find just what you need. I think it was too far for it to trigger properly, unfortunately, so I suppose we're just gonna do it the old-fashioned way. Or at least lure them to the next explosive over here, and stand back firmly. We'll see how this situation develops right about now. Fine. Shoot the one that is flanked. It's not like that's exactly what I would do in your situation. And here comes another one. You know what? Yeah. Gather around a little more. I will see to it that you are welcomed. Sadly as you should. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Well, at least we got the mage. That counts for something. That, however, did not count for something. Guess we're just gonna do it like that. And another one, which should be like... unfortunate. Fine. We'll do it live. Now, if you can come a little closer, that would be very appreciated. Thank you, mage. I knew I can count on you, even if it's to cast broken armor. More with feeling on that guard, even though it's 48%. Wonderful. I do like it when a plan comes together. Hey, you, can you cut that mage down? Of course you can. That's what you are here for anyway. Also because you are amazing with that katana of yours. Absurd, as some people would say. I am not, however, some people, so I'll just say, good job. And now we can get out of here. That's everyone we've cut down. The pirate beams a brilliant smile at you. Ah, you return, and the lovely Senior Inspector Chu is with you. Are you ready to go, my friend? Get us the hell out of here. There are patrol boats on their way. He throws back his head and laughs. Marine region patrol boats wallow like pigs in shit. We will run circles around them. Get to it then. Go! Jomo offers her a mocking half-bow, leans into the drunken mistake, and punches a button. The entire boat begins to vibrate as the craft's engines roar to life. Best climb in and buckle yourself down then. This will be a bumpy ride. Water lashes your face as Jomo opens the drunken mistake's throttle. The boat bounces over the surface of the water like a skipping stone. half jolting you out of your seat every time it splashes down. Jomo's voice roars out over the din in a sing-song cadence, joyously barking out a song in Indonesian. Aku seorang kapiten, mempunyai pedang panjang. He pumps his fist in the air, vigorously swinging some imaginary object overhead. Kalau berjalan prok prok prok, aku seorang kapiten. Well, he sounds happy. Jomo is happy. You must all join in celebrating his triumph. Our pursuers are shaken, thrown out from our trail like a bucket of piss from a poor man's window. And now, your glorious Capitan will have you back to your impound yard, where you will feast and drink to his success. Chu holds up a hand. Wait. The impound yard is compromised. Crate's people might even have it surrounded already. We can't go back there. She's right. Lambo's a mole, a part of Crate's conspiracy. They're gonna know everything that he did. Jomo nods, a grave look on his face. I know a place. Somewhere that the HKPF cannot approach by land, sea, or air. Jomo will take you there, and then he will try very hard to talk his way out of suffering the consequences. I think I know where we're heading. The drunken mistake's turbocharged motors churn through the open water, leaving a trail of frothy sea behind you. The Aberdeen doors quickly recede into the distance, and Jomo powers you steadily deeper into international waters. In the back of the boat, Chu stands alone, one hand cupped over her ear, shouting into her comlink. You can't make out what she's saying over the roar of the drunken mistake's engines, but from the expression on her face, it isn't going well. Jomo throttles down the engines, nervously staring into the water just beyond the speedboat's hull. You soon discover why. Sea mines. With careful precision, the pirate steers his nimble craft around them, aided only by his skill and a handful of Indonesian curses. As Jomo pilots you through the minefield, a jagged shape in the distance begins to grow larger. It's huge, a slab-like ship surrounded by a number of smaller vessels. You step onto the converted barge with unsteady legs. The deck rocks with the rolling motion of the waves, and below you can hear the slap of water against the hull. The air here is permeated by the smells of engine oil and diesel fumes, all intermixed with the sweat of sailors and the sweet aroma of roasting amberjack. Welcome aboard the Benteng, the jewel of the Loho Joan fleet. He flashes you a brilliant smile. You will be safe here, safer than you were in the impound yard in Hawaii or at your mother's teat. Nothing enters these waters without Captain Utama's permission. Crate and her people don't need to enter the water to hurt us. They have aircraft and drones at their disposal. Oh-ho. And this worries you? Take it from me, Val. It shouldn't. Jomo swings his arm out in a grand sweeping gesture. Look around you. See for yourself. In the distance, a cluster of enormous guns rise above the Benteng's deck. Heavy artillery coupled with old model Ares Sea-Whiz systems. Millions of new yen worth of restricted military hardware, all mounted to a creaking barge with a resale value of a mid-range sedan. The seabed beneath your feet is littered with the carcasses of countless drones and aircraft. He pumps his arms excitedly, miming the action of a cannon firing at an airborne target. They all met their doom to the roar of the Benteng's mighty guns. Sheets of flying lead tore wings from fuselages, ripped through cockpits, shattered parachutes to tattered rags. And the waters that she protects are no safer for our enemies. Envision the seabed, far beneath your feet. He sweeps his arm low towards the waves on the far horizon. New life springs from the bones of patrol craft, coral of 1,000 hues, sprouting like wheat from the bloated bodies of those fools who have dared to trespass here. Our minds make short work of those who approach by sea. An elvish crewman steps forward and claps a hand onto the orc's shoulder. His voice comes out in a breathy rumble. Jomo speaks the truth, Shadowrunner. Nothing can approach this ship and live. I don't doubt it. That's some impressive hardware you've got over there. His smile broadens. Perceptive. I like that. Captain Utama is waiting for you below decks. In your place, I would not keep her waiting long. Jomo favors the pirate with a nod. Teog speaks the truth, friends. Captain Utama is a delightful woman, possessed of many virtues, but patience is not one of them. We should be on our way. What about my crew? They will wait for you in that rusted hulk that you call a home, the one that the corporate people towed here. He jerks a thumb over his shoulder. It's over there. The big Texas is here? But she isn't seaworthy. How did you... I made some calls. Chu rubs her temples, squinting. She looks exhausted. Amazing how much freight you can move with a tugboat and a couple of industrial lifting airframes. It must be nice being able to call in favors from a megacorp on a whim. It didn't happen on a whim, believe me. My relationship with corporate is beyond strained at the moment. You can talk with your friends later. Now go to Utama and be quick about it. I tell you this for your own good. He's right. Wait for me at the Big Texas. We'll catch up after I'm done with the tour. As you say, my friend. Rector taps a cigarette out of the pack in his breast pocket. I shall inspect the Big Texas and see if anything was damaged during transit. Jomo gives you a nod. Chu, Val, you're with me. We have a captain to meet. And that achievement was, let's see here, a pirate's life for me. Lay low with the Loho Joa pirates on the Benteng. So let's get back to it. Seen some familiar faces already. I guess a couple of Chu and Lam's people have evacuated with Big Texas. That's nice to see. Not here. Ah, there we are. Captain Utama. A weathered troll with a relaxed posture and a commanding presence dominates the cabin. Her face is serious, but her dual-colored eyes glint with curiosity as she runs them over you. It is my honor to introduce you to Captain Utama, our most gracious and benevolent host. Jomo bows deeply. My captain, I thank you for your generous hospitality. I remain your humble servant and offer my deepest respect. She steps forward and places a gnarled hand on Jomo's shoulder. Straighten your damned back, Jomo. Pay your respects if you must, but I have no use for men who bow and scrape. Jomo's back snaps straight, and he hurriedly retreats to his original position. His smile remains as relaxed as ever, but you can't help but notice the bead of perspiration that traces its way down his forehead. The captain shifts her gaze to you, studying your face through eyes the color of dirty ice. A smile slowly creeps across her face, twisting the scar across her lips into a second grin. As for you, Shadowrunner, you are welcome aboard the Benteng. Mind my rules, and you may stay here for as long as you wish. We appreciate your hospitality, Captain Utama. You're doing us a tremendous favor. The troll's scarred lips twitch upward in amusement. I do you no favor, boy. My hospitality was bought and paid for, not given. Look to your friend. She wrote the check. Savor this moment, Val. You're looking at the end result of me calling in the very last of my favors with corporate. My hospitality is not given, Shadowrunner. It is rented. Now, before you get settled in, there is a small matter that we must discuss. I'm listening. This is my ship. Your friend here has paid your passage, yes, but if you prove to be a disruptive presence on this vessel, I will not hesitate to have you tossed overboard. Unless you relish the idea of swimming with awakened sharks and active minds, you will mind your manners during your stay. Colorful description. You've got a flair for the dramatic. True. I'm not without a sense of style. Just heed my words, you hear me? You wouldn't be the first guest that I've had to put over the side. They won't make a peep, Captain Utama. I promise. This is gonna be home for the foreseeable future, Val. We've got nowhere else to go, and I am fresh out of strings to pull. We get Mitsuhama something that they can use, something irrefutable, or we resign ourselves to life on the open sea. Then we find them something that they can use. That's right, we do. And we start with Lam's PDA. Meet me at my command trailer. We're gonna crack that thing and we're going to find some answers. As expected. But before that, let's talk to Captain Utama a little more. The captain's wheelhouse is surprisingly warm, despite its coldly utilitarian interior. Sounds of the sea breeze outside roll over the cabin and a soft whistle hums through the cluttered room. You find Utama standing near a makeshift wet bar, crates and tool chests loaded full of liquor bottles and piled onto a coffee table that sags under their weight. The captain swirls a clear, yellow-tinted liquid around the interior of a thick glass. You watch her grab a pinch of what looks like salt from a small open dish, then carefully sprinkle it onto the cup. Her voice is hard when she addresses you, but her eyes remain locked on the drink, which she continues to swish around and around in ever-tightening circles. Getting acquainted with a benteng, are we? She nods the glass up to her nose and inhales. Satisfied, she takes a sip. Her eyes flash toward you. Good. I hate drinking alone. She motions towards the wet bar with her elbow. Water? I'll have what you're having. A bemused grin graces the captain's scarred face. Oh, are you sure? No questions asked? Lay it on me. Utama swirls the liquid inside her glass, then tilts it your way. Have at it. Smell the drink? Her eyebrows raise. You're cautious. Good for you. You outlive most of my crew with that attitude. So, what do you think? Very nice. Fresh pressed, I'm assuming. Judging... I'll pretend I'm redeeming sippies. Well, and I do have some sippies on me right now, so... That was the last sippies in a while. Judging by the color and viscosity, I'd guess that this was sourced from a farming region inside Hong Kong. Utama claps a hand on your shoulder. You're correct, of course. Guava juice, freshly pressed from fruit grown in the Yuan Long district. I respect a man who knows his fruit. Extravagances such as this serve us well in the open sea. Scurvy is no joke, after all. She takes a slow sip of her drink. With a smack of her lips, she tilts her head toward you and stares at you through dual-colored eyes. So, what brings you here? Something in your mind, Shadowrunner? What's it like to be a female pirate? Got its ups, got its downs. Many sailing men, captains and crews alike, view female seafarers with a critical eye. We're always at a disadvantage. The glare has even landed on me from time to time. Never mind the fact that I'm one of the best damned sea captains ever to grace the ports of this sorry planet. I have to make a display of my power before I'm assumed to have it. On the other hand, and in that same vein, we're often underestimated. This can work to our advantage. I'll never demean myself to gain the upper hand, but I will use a man's idiocy against him to my own benefit. There is no shame in that. The captain flicks a piece of lint off her shirt. At the end of the day, I wouldn't change things. It's a good life, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I noticed a small saucer of powder over in the wet bar. What is it? Utama sniffs loudly through her nose, studies you for a moment before replying. What do you think it is? Salt? She wrinkles her nose in disgust. This look like a nightclub to you? We don't garnish our drinks with sugar or salt out here. There's no better way of identifying a shitty drink than the size of crab pile it's buried under. She rubs a hand along the back of her neck. Look, I've spent the better part of my life in the open ocean. They say that when you first start sailing, you have to earn your sea legs, otherwise the rolling sickness will get you. I never did that. Never had to. I had my sea legs from the first time I ever set foot on a boat. Didn't realize that it could catch up to you, though. Seems that as I get older, my stomach rolls with the waves more and more. She points towards the powder in the saucer. It's an anti-emetic. Keeps me from turning green on the job. You ever find yourself in need of some, you help yourself to my stash. But don't overdo it. A little goes a long way. Understood. For now, however, I gotta go. That was a fascinating thing to speak about. I guess not all pirates are bad. Only those that you know personally, and can vouch that they are decent people. Hey, good looking. What are you cooking? A woman in an armored trench coat hunches over a smoking grill, her assault rifle leaned up against a nearby crate. She prods at an assortment of rapidly blackening fish, eel, squid, and other sea life, all the while fixing them with a critical glare. She glances up and squints as you approach. You're not a prisoner, and you don't look like a pirate. And this sure as hell ain't a standard tourist destination. Welcome to the Bentang, whoever you are. It's the finest pirate barge in at least a 50-mile radius. You don't look much like a pirate either. I'm not. I'm a mercenary. My name's Chastity Blackwell. The Joholoa are letting me stay here between jobs because I've done some work for them in the past. I don't get shorted out here, and I got a lot of potential clients come to visit Utama. It's a better deal than I'd usually get. Seems like a good place to have a barbecue then. You don't know the half of it, man. Take my advice and cook your own food while you're here. Utama's got a chef on her crew, but his skill set begins and ends with adding packets of instant noodle flavor into things. The man's a culinary butcher, wanted for flavor murder across Southeast Asia. Don't trust him. Why doesn't Utama have a better cook? Honestly, I don't know. A good cook will make or break morale. Anybody who's ever served on a ship knows that. I can only assume that Rinaldi is really good at something else. From what I hear, he used to be a target officer on a Rebel Hook missile cruiser. Maybe he's the guy that set up the Bentang's defensive perimeter, I'm not sure. Still, you'd think that a bunch of damn Filipino and Indonesian pirates would stock a half-decent spice cabinet, but no, it's all pre-packaged spice mixes, mostly scrounged from instant noodle packages. I'd have killed for some sambak oelek a month ago, after Rinaldi tried to make some bebek goreng using fast food chili packets. They finally let me go ashore for supplies. Atrocious, absolutely atrocious. What do you know about the Joholoa? Quite a bit. They're pirates, they live around Hong Kong, and Jomo is only slightly crazier than most of them. What else is there to know? Sorry, I assume you're interested in something in particular. How'd they get started? They were Filipino refugees, mostly. Two clans, the Joho and Loa, resisted the Japanese occupation of the Philippines. Some joined the Hook rebels, but most decided to join the Hakka fishing communities around Hong Kong. Over the years, they intermarried, at first with each other and then with the Chinese, and Indonesians, and Malaysians as well. The whole venture is pretty much a family affair. Each ship tends to be run along family lines. The captain is the family elder, backed up by their spouse's first mate. The eldest child, sometimes sibling, is the bosun, and kids are the deckhands. It seems to work out well. It's basically just a family business, and the fleets of ships are extended family. Chastity gestures towards the expanse of the Bentang, smiling crookedly. Because of that, they're united but independent. Take the Bentang, for example. This isn't just Utama's ship, it's her family, her house, her business, and her legacy to pass on to her children. That's part of why they don't like stand-up fights as much as they do hit-and-run jobs. Nobody wants to get their family killed. Where do they operate? They'll go anywhere in the South China Sea. I've heard stories that they get as far north as Hangzhou sometimes and make runs down to Darwin if the cargo is right. But in terms of their home base, it's been in Saigon for over 10 years. They're 100% Hong Kong natives, even if some of the locals don't seem to think so. I guess that's part of why I like them so much. They're the kind of mixed-up, multinational family that makes the modern world so interesting. Their only nation is their fleet, and their language is a mix-up of Indonesian, Cantonese, Tagalog, Malay, Spanish, and English. They're beholden to no one but themselves. That's an admirable thing in this day and age. What's a pirate life's like? Chastity frowns, glancing at you in a sidelong fashion. Why are you asking me and not Jomo? You know him better than you know me, and I only know what I see from the outside. I mean, I guess that I know more about them than most people. Okay, well, I guess the first thing I know is that it isn't as glamorous as they make it out to be. Most of the Joholoa ships are living hard hand to mouth. They don't have any savings and they can wind up stranded if something breaks down at sea. It's mostly a lot of sailing around, bribing harbor masters to find out what ships are carrying the good stuff, and then running out off to steal it all. Some pirates show up with big guns. This family would rather do with a fast hit and run. Sure, they got big guns, but they'll only use them as a last resort. Ammo costs money, you know? Yes, Pinoy's strongest. How'd you get into cooking? Are you kidding me? Chastity smirks, folding her arms over her chest. After a minute, her smirk fades. Oh, you're serious. Okay, so basically there are three types of mercenaries. The first type are the ones who work for big outfits like Met 2000, Brightblade, Tsunami, or whatever. They're not much different from corporate armies in a lot of ways. They've got tons of support and finances, so everywhere they go they build bases with mess halls, barracks, the works. Second, you've got small units that sign up with well-established PM clients. They don't work for a big PMC, but maybe they've got a team of 50 or so. They get contracts from reasonably lucrative clients. A lot of work in Africa from corporations or urban convoy duty in areas that are still a bit iffy. Places like Caracas, Vladivostok, Lagos, whatever. These units rough it a bit more, but they're usually attached to larger groups as extra muscle. Then you've got people like me, true freelancers, cowboys. We fill out the gaps in larger units, but we can never tell how big of a group we'll be with. Sometimes a corporation needs some soldiers garrisoned at some mine, and they round up 10 of us and throw us out in the field with nothing but what we've brought with us. Unless you have some kind of unhealthy love for field rations, you learn to cook whatever you've got around, or you make friends with someone who does. And final question, why hang out on a boat rather than in a safe house? I like boats. I like sailors. I've spent a lot of time as hired muscle on everything from drone container ships to small smuggling vessels. Most of those small boats were in the Aegean, though. Quick runs between small islands. Shit, I remember this one time. Chastity suddenly starts snickering to herself. The snicker becomes a chuckle, and the chuckle eventually turns to a roaring laugh as she doubles over, clutching to her sides. Hey, come on, the Greeks aren't that funny. I should know, because I follow PlaneFag on Twitter. Chastity begins coughing in an effort to catch her breath. Sorry, She gestures excitedly towards the grill with one hand. The fish! Finally pulling herself together, the mercenary stands up and takes a long, deep breath. Wiping a tear from her eye, she laughs and launches into a story. Okay, so this one time I was out on a fishing boat, but the skipper was actually running guns and missiles to Bari, right? Not much danger out there aside from other gun runners and pirates, so we were taking it slow. A nice, warm summer cruise. I'd been amusing myself by fishing while I kept watch. I got a tug on my line and I reeled in this amazing gilt-head sea bream. It was beautiful. A good 10 kilos. She stares off into the distance, shaking her head in disbelief. I knew right then that it's what we were having for dinner that night. That's a hell of a big fish. One of the other mercs on the boat was this elf pistol adept. Fastidious guy. Liked his fine wine and food. Anyway, he sidles up, asks what I'm gonna do with it. What do you think I'm gonna do, I say. I'm gonna grill it up with some olive oil, lemons, and garlic. You know, standard Greek style stuff. Well, the elf gets a look like I slapped his mother. He just screws his face up into a sneer and asks what the hell is wrong with me. I ask him how he'd do it. You have to poach a fish like that. Lay down a bed of pilaf rice, zucchini, bell peppers, and onions. You cook it slow in foil with a touch of wine. Only a barbarian would grill it, he says to me. Chastity dips her head, grinning. That wasn't something I was prepared to hear. I explained to him that to preserve the fish's natural flavor, grilling was a superior choice. I might have suggested he had delusions of aristocracy. He countered that his method would create a superior flavor profile overall, as well as be a complete meal, and questioned if my mother had been a goat and my father a chimpanzee. No, I will keep making you hungry. Believe me on that one. That went on until he had his Colt Manhunter's barrel halfway to my mouth and my combat knife was pressing against his trachea. We would have kept up our argument too, if the first mate hadn't doused us with a fire hose. Chastity grins at you expectantly. So how'd you end up cooking it? We didn't. When we got blasted by the fire hose, the fish got washed through a scupper and back out into the sea. I think we ended up having spammed eggs instead. What a shame. But an amazing story. to throw it under the model. Ow, ow, ow. You cannot see, but I'm jumping. Anyway, see ya. With an easy smile and relaxed body language, something about this orc seems intrinsically pleasant, despite the myriad guns and swords laying on the table near him. He raises a hand in greeting as you approach. Hey, stranger. Always nice to see a new face out here. Nice to meet you, too. You part of the crew? Who, me? Nah, man. I'm just hanging out here until my next job. I know some of the crew, and it's a good transit hub if you're looking to go places by ship and stay off the official records. It's a pretty cool place, truth be told. The name's Garrick, by the way. Wandering swordsman at your service. So you're a Ronin or something? Something like that. The more appropriate term in Hong Kong would be Yao Hap, but same difference. You boil it down, I'm a straight samurai who happens to be good with a blade. Guns too, but I like swords. Where are you from? Garrick doesn't sound like a Chinese name. I grew up on the street in Oakland, California, Free State. You know, Orkland. Garrick gestures towards his two tusks, grinning. Non-humans weren't very welcome in San Francisco after Japan began protecting it. Anybody who wasn't highly connected or a normal human got shoved out. I'm sure you've run into somebody with an axe to grind against elves at some point in your life. Think of that, but make it the law. Now imagine that the thugs who are getting up in your face think you're a monster that's gonna kill their kids. Long story short, they marched us out at gunpoint. It happened right before I was born, but I heard a lot of stories. What's the California Free State like these days? Kind of a pile of crap. San Francisco is all wrapped up by the Japanese megas, their playground basically. Los Angeles is an independent city-state. When your biggest claims to power and the fame are Sacramento and Ventura, you know you're really scraping the barrel. Nah, I don't miss it. Not one bit. Speaking of, what do they write about San Francisco, or rather Californian Free State, in here? North America. And there. The California Free State is everyone's bitch. Tyr Tairanger invaded it in the north and was only stopped by the great dragon Hestabai, who told them both to quiet down and get off their lawn. Aztlan invaded it in the south, and when the state governor asked Japan for help, Japan invaded it from the west. Los Angeles was hit with disaster after disaster, and in the most recent quake, most of it fell into the ocean. So yeah, once again, not a great place to be. How'd you end up in Hong Kong? Garrick snaps his fingers excitedly. Aha! This ties into my tragic past. A tale of revenge in foreign lands, swords and sorcery, of dead parents and the criminal underworld. You have a weird way of expressing grief, Garrick. Well, what do you expect? It happened when I was a kid, and that was ages ago. I lived in a slum surrounded by gangsters and junkies. Objectively speaking, I was probably the best thing that happened to me. You got me out of Oakland. I'd gone to the old corner store, and when I got back home, the home was on fire. Mom and Dad had been hacked up with a machete. Don't know why. Maybe a BTL debt, maybe they just got on the wrong side of one of the local gangs. Long story short, a local fixer felt bad and took me in. Started me off as an assistant and moved me up to be his muscle as I got older. Sounds like a familiar story to me. Figured it might. People like us. We tend to come from the same kind of places. Nobody gives up easy street for a life of crime unless they're seriously screwed up in the head. But it's a better life than begging or being at the bottom of the food chain, yeah? Anyway, once I was old enough, Big Sven, the fixer, hooked me up with my Choi Lee Foot Sifu. That was when I got my first street jobs. Odd jobs here and there, and I'm not an adept, so I also had to scrounge to install whatever ware I could afford. I'm out here because my Sifu figured it's time for me to learn from other masters. I've been visiting monks, tried enforcers, and back alley schools for months now. You looking to avenge your parents? I guess. If it comes up, or if I hear something, seems like the kind of thing I should be honor bound to do, but it was so damn long ago I figure I can afford to let it sit a bit longer. Maybe that's kind of weird, but I don't want that part of my past to define me. How'd you get into the whole wandering swordsman thing? Seems a bit melodramatic. I grew up on stories about wandering Jiang-Hu swordsmen and other martial artists. I loved reading books like The Water Margin, The Deer and the Cauldron, and Journey to the West. There's a kind of romance to it that appealed to me, and still does. An outlaw living by their own code, fighting the mighty powers, and living by their own wits. It beats the usual story I knew. Born poor, starve, die poor. Most people out there haven't got a shred of hope that there is anything better. When you live like that, it grinds you down. I figure if I can see my life as a modern version of one of those classics, I'll keep my spirits up. And that's worth more to me than all the new yen in the world. Makes an awful lot of sense. Well, see you later, Garrick. Hope you find who you're looking for. Hey, thanks. If it happens, it happens. If not, at least I'll have an interesting trip. That's the thing, really. Be where you are, live when you are. Make sense? Very zen, Garrick. There's Constable Hui, just as I said. The constable's attention is locked onto his PDA's display. He inhales through his nose, then speaks. Just because I'm standing here does not mean I'm not busy. State your business. What do you do when you're not being a cop? What do I do? You mean like my hobbies? That's kind of a strange thing to ask. I guess that it might be. I'd just like to get to know the people I'm working with. Sure. Okay. I paint. Oils, mostly landscapes. I've had a few showings in Victoria Harbor coffee shops. Could we change the subject, maybe? This is getting a little too personal for my tastes. Nice neck tattoo. Were you a ganger before you became a cop? Yeah, I got jumped in when I was a kid. In my old neighborhood, it was impossible not to be. I got out when I was a teenager, turned my life around. When I landed in the HKPF, they put my background to good use by sending me undercover. You were a narc? Yep, I worked undercover for a couple of Kowloon City's nastier street gangs, the Black Butchers and the 444s. Helped bring them down from the inside. Glad to be off of that detail. I was good at it, but in doing that sort of work takes a toll. And how did you wind up on this task force? My cover got blown. Barely made it out of 444 territory alive. I couldn't stay undercover any longer, so they had to find another use for me. When Lam told me about the task force, I volunteered. Fascinating stuff, but I gotta go now. Go on then. There's Sergeant Lung, and there's Tail. Let's speak with him first. A bored-looking pirate stands amid a collection of sea mines, a spiral-bound and laminated manual in one hand. The cover reads, Ares Mark 62 Naval Mine. He is busily thumbing through it, a sour expression on his face. Hey, you need something? Just looking around. Well, look away, friend. You're free to roam whatever you like. Just don't touch these mines. Pretty sure that's self-explanatory, but it's worth mentioning. The only reason that the Benteng and our other ships are safe is that we've got enough explosives to level a small island. Without them, we'd be fighting off other pirates left and right. Mines are the pirate code for don't even think about it. Why are you on mine prep duty? Simple. I spent 12 years with the British Royal Navy as an explosive ordnance disposal technician. If it explodes, I know how to set it up or get rid of it. I wouldn't trust anyone else out here to handle them, and that's for damn sure. Nobody else is trained. Strange place to find a British naval officer. Sure is, but life itself is strange. People always have an idea of where they think they'll end up, but most people don't follow that clean route. They'll just go where life leads them. After 12 years with Her Majesty's salty service, my main aim was to get drunk and forget all about being a sailor. I packed my kit and went out around the world. Ended up in Manila, half dead of alcoholism, and met a local girl named Christina. It got serious, she introduced me to her family, and it turned out they were pirates. After we got married, I figured I might as well make myself useful. So, here we are, priming mines. The more things change, the more they stay the same, right? You like it here? Like has nothing to do with it. These pirates are my family, so I gotta stick by 'em. But, yeah, I guess so. I'd rather be on a beach with a bottle of whiskey, but I can't sail to a beach and we've got whiskey in the hold. Nobody's asking me to get shot at, and we're prosperous enough to feed ourselves. It's not a bad life, all things considered. Besides, I don't know how to do anything else aside from set up and disarm explosives. Not exactly a normal job. Would you give it up if you could have a normal life? I don't know. Maybe? Hard to say. It's like this. I've spent so long as a sailor that I don't know what I'd do if I wasn't on a boat surrounded by bombs. Kinda messed up when I say it out loud, but that's the truth of it. Yep, that's the hard truth sometimes. You just don't know what to do after you're done with doing something you've done for a long while. That's the way it is. Chew's command trailer is strangely peaceful. The crew of systems experts that formerly manned the multitude of terminals inside are nowhere to be found, and the omnipresent hum of the trailer's computer banks have fallen silent. The senior inspector glances from her desk, half turning to face you. Maybe. Good. You're here. The sentence trails to nothing as she squeezes her eyes shut, wincing. Her hands go up to rub her temples. You okay? Will be. Migraine. She rubs her temples with both hands. Feels like someone lit a fire behind my eyes. If I were you, I'd get that checked out. Otema must have a doctor stashed away somewhere. She waves your suggestion off. I'll be fine. I already know what's causing this, and it won't be a problem anymore. I ditched it after Lam turned on us. The necklace, you mean? Yeah, it hurt to use, like looking through lenses ground to someone else's prescription. Made the drain from spellcasting hurt more, too. Truth is, I've been in constant pain for the past couple of months. Cost of doing business, I guess. That why you've been so short-tempered? Well, some of that was just me, but the pain didn't help any. I'm still recovering from the impact of wearing that thing for months on end, and I soaked up some nasty drain breaking us out of that trap. I'm not at 100%, and I probably won't be for months. I don't need you at 100%. Get me into a room with Crate, and I'll handle the rest. You might have to, but let's hope that it doesn't come to that. She shakes her head to clear it, gritting her teeth in discomfort. Okay, we've got a job to do, so let's get to it. Let's get to it, then. You fish Lam's PDA out of the evidence bag that Chu had you put it in. The device is in bad shape, its case warped and bent, but the screen winks on at your command. The display is streaked with Lam's dried blood. It looks like red gelatin, thin and watery. You can just make out the text underneath. Browse the PDA's file system. Lam, Andy, secure mailboxes. Inbox. Package delivery, standing orders. From Wallace Koo. Everything is ready on our end. Now you need to hold up your end of the deal. The package has to be delivered before the wildcard leaves the evidence room, or this whole thing is gonna get messy. I'm the package, I guess. Making me the wildcard. What an idiot. If he wanted to speak in code, he could have been a little less obvious about it. If things do get messy, it's your ass, Lam. Crate wants this to go by the numbers, and that means both the package and the wildcard caught in the same trap. We can't change the package catching a bullet before we can question her, and a firefight in a hallway could raise questions. You know your job, do it well, and you'll get what you were promised. Now, let's see here. I wonder how does that one work. And by that one, yeah, that's what I'm wondering about at this time? Isn't your beast not screaming at you? Let's see if this can be arranged. Now, if we look at it this way, there we go. Quick action. That's where it's supposed to be. Quick actions in Stream Manager, which should go over here. Now, where was it? There we go. Ad break should be coming up very soon. Let me know. You get 1 minute before the ad break, or it's happening at the moment. No. Alright, looks like the ad break is over by this point. We'll see how it went in a bit, but for now, we can continue where we left off. Which was over here. Ku was the task force's magical interrogator, right? The pockmarked guy who worked me over before you got to me. Yeah, and now he's a mound of bloody ash decorating the floor of the Tiger Den's evidence room. Overall, I'd call that an improvement. Second message, standing orders. Mr. Lam, as much as I appreciate your concern for the citizens of Hong Kong, it's not your place to question my tactics. The behavior of the SDU is none of your concern. The changes that you hope to see will never come about while Mitsuhama is viewed favorably by the Executive Council. Our client wants to see its reputation tarnished, and a certain amount of heavy-handedness on our part is necessary to make that happen. It's all a part of the plan, Senior Inspector. You do your job, and let me do mine. Alright, so that's where Crate and her people come into this. The massacre at the end of the Kowloon City riots, the police brutality that led to the riots in the first place, they were all intended to hurt Mitsuhama's PR. What's the end goal? Why would anyone spend this much money to tank the reputation of their own police force? The message said something about changes. Okay, pretend it's a stretch redeem. You cannot hear it, but I am cracking my spine. My mic is not that sensitive on picking up the slightest bit of sound. Or, once again, the cracks were not that loud. But I will need to get me a little more water because I am parched, which I will do in a bit. But first, the message said something about changes. It was pretty hazy on the details, though. Yeah, hazy. Let's keep reading. We go back to the outbox. Okay, I'm in. From Andy Lum to Wallace Koo. Alright, Koo, I've reconsidered your proposal and I want in. You were right. Chu is a lost cause. She's corporate to the bone and trying to argue with her is like talking to a brick wall. She doesn't give a damn about what the HKPF is supposed to stand for. All that matters to her is the company's bottom line. Oh, fuck you, you little weasel. At least I don't turn on my own people for a paycheck. It's funny. I used to be such an idealist. I joined the HKPF because I wanted to help people, but that isn't what this organization is about, whatever the recruiters say. Good cops don't have a place in Mitsuhama's police force. The corporate culture of the HKPF either changes them if they're weak, or chews them up if they're strong. Either way, they wind up broken, and I can't be a part of that machine anymore. The big change you're talking about is a chance to fix things. A real, honest-to-God chance. And so, as much as I hate your methods, I'm gonna help you. I'm not doing it for the money, I'm doing it because I want the HKPF to be better, and this is a chance to make that happen. A remote chance, maybe, but it's better than nothing. Sounds like he's expecting some sort of shake-up within the HKPF. Yeah, sounds that way. Tell Crate I'm in. I can bring you Chu and I can help you to dismantle this task force. But you should know that if you've been bullshitting me, if things don't change for the better, I'm coming after you. You can count on that. Threatening a mage like Koo is rarely a good idea. Lamb would have gotten himself killed if he tried anything. Still, we learned something here. Lamb was convinced that Crate and her people were working towards some sort of shake-up in the HKPF. A big change. What kind of change do you think they're talking about? Not sure yet. I don't want to speculate until we've pulled everything out of this PDA that we can. Let's keep reading, see what else we can turn up. Justice. To Irene Tong. Irene, I know that you have every reason to hate the police, but hear me out. What happened to your family was wrong. I'm gonna do everything I can to make it right. I can't bring your husband back, but I can help make sure that the constables who killed him pay for their crime. Big changes are coming, I promise. Between then and now, please allow me to cover your mortgage payments. I've recently come into a large sum of money, and I want you to have it. Consider it a show of good faith until I can bring you the justice that you deserve. I don't know anything about this. Must have been related to some old case of Lamb's from before he got assigned to the task force. Or maybe it was a personal thing. A friend of his or a romantic interest. It was someone he cared about, that much is clear. Feels like a motive to me. This woman's husband died, Lam felt guilty, and he signed on with Crate to try and make amends. Yeah, maybe. Grouping up the people responsible for the Kowloon City massacre out of guilt, though? What kind of ass-backwards thinking is that? The kind that idealists and zealots have always used to justify their actions. Nothing new about it. This whole thing raises more questions than it answers. Let's keep going. There has to be more in there for us to find. ZZXDSEP004. The message has been corrupted. A meaningless stream of garbled text fills the screen. Unfortunately. Next, live chat folder. One chat with me, huh? Did you authorize a second mind probe of Chernigov while he was unconscious? I'm looking at the transcript of his interview and he insists that two mages were screwing around with his brain last night. No. I was against you having him scanned in the first place, remember? Why would I give authorization for two different mages to poke around in his brain? I don't know. Maybe you wanted two sets of findings to check against one another. I know that you have trust issues where magic is concerned. I didn't authorize anything, Lam. And unless we have a second magical interrogator that I don't know about on the task force, I'm gonna go ahead and guess that he's making it up. By the way, Fiona Chu is the co-protagonist of a little prequel novel that takes place before Shadows of Hong Kong. I have no idea if we should cover it at some point on the stream, or if that will be irrelevant by the time we get to it. So, what? You just want to dismiss this? You don't think it warrants further investigation? In a perfect world, I'd tell you to knock yourself out, but right now, in the world that we live in, there is no time for that. We're too close to Crate to go hunting for a mystery mage who may or may not exist. The council doesn't want any more delays, Lam. Neither does Mitsuhama. So drop it and do your job. I don't want to have to tell corporate about this. Alright, Fee, you win, for now. But this discussion isn't over. Yeah, Lam, it is. Keep going. Let's see what else there is to see. Junk mail folder. That's a lot of stuff. Lam's junk mail folder is packed to the gills with all manner of unsolicited messages, scam mail, advertisements for everything from illicit drugs to designer electronics, and countless pornographic images fill the screen. It'd take days to sort through all of this for anything useful, and searching by trial and error would likely expose the PDA to a whole host of nasty worms and viruses. Remind me to never open my own junk folder. Still, let's look for tagged messages. What was it? ZZ? Not yet. And if we go by ZZXDSE. ZZXDSE. Also no. How about Project Zeta? Also no. Fine, I guess we'll look for it the other way then. But for now, trash bin. A little digging reveals a file buried in the PDA's trash can. Looks like Lam intended to get rid of it, but he died before he got around to pulling the trigger on it. From Crate. Subject, instructions, next steps. Mr. Koo tells me that you've accepted our offer. Welcome aboard. Once you've delivered Chu, report to me and we'll have you relocated to the Taipo facility. You'll be safe there. We have the location under 24-hour guard for obvious reasons. From there on out, all that you need to do is keep your head down and count your money. You keep up your end and you'll soon be a very wealthy and influential man. If Crate's client, whoever it is, has something worth guarding in Taipo, then that's where we need to check out next. Well, let's keep going. This is good intel, but we need to get everything out of this PDA that we can. Okay, while I consider our options, I'm gonna go away for a second, grab me a drink, and we can continue from that point. So, I think we can test out the advertisement feature one more time. Let's see how it works, and if it works. At least it should. Switching to phone. Spy need rest. Understandable. Be right back. Maybe I should disable automatic add rollout. But we'll see whether this will be necessary at some point, or if it's one of those things that'll need to be addressed. Anyway, let's think about what we can search for in junk mail once again. If we go by our own name, nothing. And break redeem for 1.5k. Possible. Very possible. I do need to consider all of the options after all. Crate? No. Cool. There we go. Files tagged cool, 1 file found. Good catch. From Cool. Don't make me regret the fact that I brought you onto this team. Quit haranguing Crate with your high-minded bullshit. She's a busy woman and she does not want to hear it. Crate is a businesswoman. She isn't in this to change things, she just wants to get paid. If you keep harping about what the people need, you're gonna piss her off and then we'll both land on her shit list. I get that you have ideals. I respect them. But repeat this to yourself until it sinks in. The people aren't paying us. Ares is. We do what they say, and sometimes that means hurting people. Sack up and deal with it. Shit. If this is true, we've got problems. Ares Macro Technology is even bigger than Mitsuhama is, and Ares Asia Holdings has a major presence in the Executive Council. Remember, Lam, ultimately everything we're doing is for the greater good. Just wait until you see what's happening in Taipo with your own eyes. The change that you're looking for is coming, and as long as everything goes according to plan, I'll be here before you know it. It'll be here before you know it. Play it cool, and everything will be just fine. Obviously, whoever we were up against was going to have access to money and resources. I expected that. But Ares... well, that's damn near a worst-case scenario for us. Keep reading if you want. I have to think about this for a minute. I think that's everything we're getting. Yeah, I'm thinking that maybe you're right. Chu turns the PDA over in her hand, then flips off the device's power switch. The screen flickers and dies. She rubs her eyes, drawing your attention to the dark hollows underneath them. Alright, so here's what we've got. Crate and her people are working for Ares. They're trying to tank Mitsuhama's reputation with the Executive Council so that they can bring about some kind of change inside the HKPF. And they've got a facility in Taipo that they're keeping under heavy guard. So it's presumably related to this change in some way. Also, new round. Think you can do the honors from mobile? I'm not gonna say I'll race you, but let's see if you can do it. There we go. You still got your golden touch. Sounds about right to me. It isn't much, but it's something. At least we know who's holding Crate's leash. The answer to that question isn't particularly comforting, but it's better than not knowing at all. Here is the million new yen question. Is this enough to take to the Executive Council? I don't think so. Like I told you before, my credibility is pretty low at this point, and I don't think that anyone in the Council is likely to risk pointing the finger at Ares without more proof to go on. I'll call them, but I can't make any promises. Bastard slipped in while I was standing up. That's when they get you, when you're shifting positions. Go back to your boat. Talk to your team. I'll call you when I know more. Got it. I'll go talk to them. We're gonna tell them that we're going up against An honest megacorp. They're not gonna be too happy, but they're gonna do it. Well, everything seems to be more or less in one piece. Did you and Chu get anything figured out? More to the point, how do you know who we're fighting? Do you know who we're fighting yet? Yeah, we know who we're up against. Crate and her people are being funded by Ares. That's not what I was hoping to hear. Ares is serious business. So what's next? We can't exactly take the fight to them. We aren't equipped for that. This is, of course, serious business because if you don't know it, in Shadowrun's world, Ares is basically American military-industrial complex come to life. Well, also NASA. They bought it out at some point. Chu is talking to her corporate contacts. With luck, we can end this thing with a comm call. No, they're up to something in Taipo. My best guess is that we'll be heading there next. We have a target. Good. I would very much like to bring this episode to a close. Your PDA buzzes, cutting him off. Chu. Answer the call. Chu's face flickers into the PDA's view screen. She looks haggard, even more so than before. The call was a bust. I've still got a few execs willing to go to bat for me, but the rest have already written us off as failure. Nobody's gonna risk antagonizing Ares on my say-so. We're gonna need a hell of a lot more than one misfiled email if we're gonna convince them to move on this. I guess we're heading to Taipo. Yeah, looks that way. Look, Val, I told you that what you and your team would be well compensated for helping me, but I never really specified exactly what your reward would be. I think that you should know. You've got my attention. We'll start with the bad news. I can't put a monetary value on what your team will receive. Truth be told, I'm gonna have to wrestle with corporate to get them much of anything. A lot of the cost of renting out the Benteng came out of what had been set aside for your reward. Excuse me, what? You'll still get paid, I promise you that. It just won't be enough to retire on. Nothing I can do about it, that's just the way it has to be. Gobbet crosses her arms over her chest, a disgusted look on her face. Yeah, I'm sure it is. We never should have trusted... Chu's voice cuts in, taking over her. As for you, Val, you're a different story. For you, I've got something better than money. Keep talking. I can get your sin restored. Duncan's too. I can give you your old lives back. Holy shit. That's right. Imagine the doors that'll open for you. You can return to Seattle, pretend that none of this ever happened. Hell, you can do whatever you want, and you can do it completely above board. What I'm offering you is the freedom to make your own choices again. The same freedom that Crate and Josephine Tseng and kindly Cheng took away from you. Anyway, I just wanted you to know that what's on the line before we're headed to Taipo. I'm going to get my kit ready. I'd recommend that you do the same. Hold action on that, Chu. There are still some jobs that I need to finish, and you need the rest. I can't argue with the second part. Okay, Val, you win. Go, do whatever work you need to do, tie up loose ends, make your clients happy, take in the sights on the Benteng, all the standard stuff. When you're finished, go to Jomo. He'll sneak us into Taipo and we can finish this. She begins to look away, then seems to think better of it. The camera refocuses on her face. Oh, and, Val? Your boss's rock, that conch that you took from Eddie Peng, got broken in the move. I found it in about 50 pieces when we got here. It's in the wastebasket under my desk if you still want it, but I can't imagine it's worth much anymore. Sorry about that. The video feed crackles and dies. Chu's face winks off of your PDA and the display goes dark. Well, this presents us with something of a conundrum, my friend. Ractor takes a drag of his cigarette and slowly releases the smoke through his nostrils. Koshei paws at the ground. If this payment goes through, your shadow running days with this team are over. With a sin, you would be a liability. You could perhaps remain in Hioi, but you'd need to find a different line of work. A difficult decision. I'll put some thought into it. See that you do. For now, we have a job to prepare for. Kindly Cheng wishes us to complete this task, and so we will, payday or no. This conspiracy could pose a threat to the Yellow Lotus, and we cannot say with certainty whether it does or not until we enter that warehouse in Taipo. We've got other priorities to handle first, but don't worry, we'll head to Taipo soon enough. This is a hell of an offer. As for when or why Ares bought the mega corporation, or was it? Here's their quick description. Ares Macrotechnology, American mega corporation. Subsidiaries include Knight Errant Security. Their premier business is in the arms industry, though they're also leaders in space exploration, having purchased NASA from US government. Its corporate culture is very regimented and hierarchical, but as befits a company that personifies the military-industrial complex. Very chillaxed as far as Shadowrunning goes, but they have a reputation for not tracking you down to kill you after a job on their territory unless you really fucked up, and they don't tend to murder the runners they hire afterward. Ares hates bug spirits with a passion, or they're secretly working with bug spirits, depends on which conspiracy theory you believe. Spoilers? They're both true due to corporate infighting. As for space, we've got 3 prominent points. We've got Zurich Orbital Habitat, the most prominent space station, HQ of the corporate court and home of the Zurich Orbital Gemeinschaft Bank. Also acts as luxury home and space fortress to some of the wealthiest people in the 6th world. Moon has got several colonies: Ares Space Artemis Lunar Colony, Olympia Lunar Base, and Zeiderkrupp Zygmunt Lunar Station. Mars became colonized in 2065 when cosmonauts from Roscosmos landed on the surface of the planet. Although perishing from bad weather and compromised equipment, delivered drones and equipment eventually began construction of Meta-Humanity's first Mars base, Gagarin. Late in the 2070s, shit hits the fan when a CFD outbreak severs contact with the base and all sorts of shenanigans ensue. So yes, the red planet is once again red. No surprises there. Before I forget, we still get paid data to post. Was it jobs? Claim payment for the retrieving the cure from Menkai Cell. Glad to hear the job's done. Payment is attached. Shadowland, post paid data for sale. SARS-3 sample that you recovered for auction. There we go. 1300 new yen. Very nice. Anything new in Shadowland? There we go. Graffiti. Has anyone noticed some really weird graffiti scrawled right by the hallway entrance to the walled city? Free enterprise is not so free when corps have rigged prosperity. Dragon Eyes. Yeah, it's all over town, actually. How about this one, right on Queensway? Whom exactly does the council serve? What fate do treacherous tigers deserve? 1000-year Kevin. A dig at Eastern Tiger, or the whole corrupt lot of them? I'm down with the anti-megacorp sentiment, but the versification could use a little work. Lame. Whampo on 2056. But it's not just about the megacorps. Spotted this one by the Hong Kong ferry pier. Bullets erupt at 3:45. Who's the SDU searching for? Typhoon Strike. I know everybody who's ever picked up a can of spray paint in HK, but I don't recognize this work. I suspect that we're dealing with some kind of collective movement. The taggers might not even be working together. Taggymeat. Hey, Taggymeat, is it any of the graffiti in all caps? Did you see any, like, tiny little footprints on the paint? Pinky swear. For the last time, Pinky, you are not being stalked by robot ants. You won't think it's so funny when they come for you. Next, stuck in a pipe. Please help. I am wedged in a pipe in the Llama power station. I was making a discreet exit with via a disused pipe system when my gear got hooked on something. Now I'm trapped in this fragging pipe and my partner's not answering his PDA. We'll split the pay if you get me out and help me complete this job. Sticky Week at 36. Hey, Shenzhen Joe, you listening? This could be the milk run that we were waiting on. Just retrieving some guy from the exit. Piece of cake, considering the main job's already done. Georgie Corgi. Slow down, GC. Can we hear a little bit more from your situation, Sticky Wicked 36? Hey, Shenzhen Joe, I'm relieved you saw this. Sending you the blueprints now, plus my coordinates. I'll owe you big time. Considering how much trouble you get yourself into, you tend to say that a lot. Okay, got your files, and, Sticky, are you underwater? Yeah, could be. You could probably bring scuba gear and some kind of laser cutting device. Oh, no, Sticky. You do understand what happens if we cut into an underwater pipe while you're in it, right? Okay, we're not doing it Sticky's way, but we can come up with another plan, right? Are we helping Sticky? Yeah? Georgie, my friend, this is the very definition of not a milk run. Hopefully somebody gets him out of there. Dying in a pipe is not a way to go. More push pins. You guys, I got the caffeine shivers real bad, so I braved going outside. I shouldn't have. Do tell. Phoenix ascending. It isn't. I came back to this. You should consider your actions before you act. Enjoy your calf. J. Just as weird as the previous message you got. 5 syllables, 7 syllables, another 5 syllables, counting the J. I think you're being menaced by a haiku, Pinky. Didn't Jivebot speak in haikus? You know, the poetry program that fused with all those rogue ESPs then started speaking in all caps? Were the pushpins themselves all caps, Pinky? Yeah, the pushpins were all caps. Rogue ESPs, you said? Are they dangerous? Before you flip out, think about it, people. How's a virtual entity going to write poems in meat space? And why would it aim them at Pinky? She has never hurt anybody. Well, that run that I was telling you about was in this lab, see? And they were working on these tiny robots that could work together to move heavy objects. Basically, robot ants. Anyway, I might have let them go. You know, on accident. Just to get this straight. You're afraid that a runaway poetry software is forcing a bunch of robot ants to leave you threatening messages written in thumbtacks. Pushpins. They were pushpins. Now, don't make me remember that crap video. More police files. Dang, I'm combing through all those police file entries. Lots are boring misdemeanors, but here's a zinger. Kendall Chan, Cram Fiend, robbed banks to feed the monkey. No convictions yet. Well, sounds about right, except for the fact that I don't have a problem with Cram, man. I can barely remember the last time I used. Funk Mastermind. Yeah, right, Funk. But check this out. Assassin Lee Wong gave the pigs his client list. Raiding Johnson soon. Oh, I wouldn't like that spread all over the Matrix about me, true or not. Shandy Town. Yankee Noodle? I think Yankee Noodle jacked out post haste. You don't think somebody's in deep shitsu? Going to the dogs. Any new messages in here? There we go. Prisoner liberation. Oh, my friend. Here I am, emailing you about the rescue mission that I was made aware of. It's mega heist of epic proportions. A run on one of the most elite corporate residences and offices in all of the free enterprise zone. Ain't nobody pulled a heist like this in a long time. I'm getting excited already. With a big family like mine, we make a lot of friends. My second cousin on my stepmother's side dropped me a line last week because one of her friends, a man named Martin Lai, has a big problem. She figures maybe Jomo can help because I have a lot of friends. Friends like you. So I say to my cousin, hey, I smuggle things. I'm no Shadowrunner, but I do know some runners that could pitch this idea to. She says, fine. Tell them Martin will pay them a hell of a lot of new yen. But they'd better be really fantastic at this, because if Lillian dies, it's my ass. No problem, I tell her. So naturally, I think of you. Martin Lai works for Yamatetsu. Yamatetsu and Fuji Industrial Electronics have been butting heads here in Hong Kong for a while, scrapping over who has more sway through the executive council. I'll make the long story short. Martin makes problems for Fuji, so Fuji kidnaps Martin's niece Lillian. They're holding Lily and Lai in a penthouse at their headquarters here in the Fez. Icon Tower. Big black skyscraper in Central, can't miss it. It's a simple job, but probably not easy. Martin can't get his Yamatetsu soldiers inside Icon without starting a corporate war, which is why he needs outside help. Somebody deniable that no one will miss if they die horribly. You, my friend. He can loan us two advantages, though, a small helicopter and the virus he had planted in Icon's perimeter defense systems. My plan is this. We go in via the helipad on the roof and have Martin's virus turn off the anti-air defenses. You and your team work fast, get down to the penthouse and rescue Martin's niece. Rush your ass back to the roof and we all fly out. From there, we'll meet up with a team of Yamatetsu hired mercenaries who will act as a protection team and get Lillian back to Martin. Easy, no? So what do you say? You want to break into one of the biggest corporate buildings in the city, steal a princess in the tower, and thumb your nose at a AAA megacorp? I sure as hell do. And I think I will say hell yeah to that one. I'm not here right now, but you should be ready. Nearby. Come see me and I will get you to Icon Tower. But before we do that, let's speak with the rest of our team about our current situation. Hello there, Ractor. Ractor glances up from his workstation and an eyebrow arcing upwards as he turns to face you. Under the desk, Koshi dips its chassis in recognition. Well, my friend, our fortunes have undergone an interesting turn, have they not? I would not have thought to find myself cast out to sea, but here we are. It beats going back to the impound yard and getting swarmed by the cops. Indeed, in point of fact, I am rather enjoying this change of scenery. There is something soothing, almost meditative, in watching sea mines bob to the motion of the waves. A relaxed smile spreads across his face. He absent-mindedly fishes a cigarette out of his breast pocket. They're really quite lovely, you know? Like enormous sea urchins with shells of rusted iron, pregnant with destructive potential. I'll give you this, Ractor. You have an interesting way of looking at the world. Yes, my friend. I suppose that I do. You will forgive me my flights of fancy, I'm sure. What do you intend to do after you finish this? I suspect that I'll return to what I was doing before we got press ganged into working with the HKPF. I will Shadowrun for funds and entertainment, and spend my spare hours working and refining my mechanical counterpart. Koshi scurries forward, and Ractor rests his hand on the drone's chassis. The drone rubs up against his leg like a dog, light glinting off of the smooth contours of his hardened body. Always a work in progress, don't you know? How could he not be? To improve Koshi is to improve the best part of myself. So you're saying that you'll never be finished with Koshi? I sincerely doubt it. Koshi is my masterpiece, and I will continue to refine him until I die. That's assuming that I fail to achieve immortality, of course. And that is far from a foregone conclusion, I assure you. And what about you, my friend? Do you have any grand ambitions to share? If so, share them. I'm all ears. I can't say what my plans are for certain. We'll just have to see how this thing plays out. A fair answer. I suppose that we shall have to wait and see for ourselves. Let us change the subject, eh? The future can wait. I'm sure that there are many more pressing matters that we could discuss. Out of curiosity, are you still playing around with those stimulus generators in your brain? I wouldn't say that I was playing around with them, no. I'm constantly using them to fine-tune my brain's stimulus responses, of course, but that hardly constitutes play. The last time we discussed those things, you said that they drove people crazy. And I also told you that I knew what I was doing. You really mustn't worry, my friend. I have been tinkering with the inner workings of my mind for years now, and look at me. I'm perfectly stable. Fit as a fiddle, you might say. And what have you been doing with those things, if you don't mind my asking? For the past week or so, I've been experimenting with synesthesia, training my brain to associate certain colors with certain tastes, sounds with touch, that sort of thing. You hear that? Just a click, yes? But it's something else to you. Oh, it's still a click. But when I hear the sound, I also feel a tingle in my spine and my tongue registers the flavors of bourbon and strawberries. Neat. That was just a small test, my friend. Soon I will know enough to push the limits of the system, and that is where the practical applications come in. Imagine the combat advantages of the sound of Koshchei's claws on steel produced a palpable sense of well-being. Or if I could judge the severity of a bullet wound by the volume of the pinging in my ear. Yeah, I get it. Just be careful, Rector. This feels like playing with fire to me. Of course, my friend. Always. You have nothing to fear from me. How are you enjoying the life on the Benteng? Truthfully, I rather like it. She's a lovely old vessel and well suited to her role as a floating fortress. And you? How are you enjoying our new, if temporary, home? Well, she is well armed, I'll give her that. As long as she keeps the HKPF at bay, I'm happy to be here. The police wouldn't have dare venture anywhere near this ship. What is our value compared to that of a patrol boat and the lives of the crew? Too much to risk for too little gain. They will not come for us here. Have you been doing any more design work in Koshchei recently? As a matter of fact, I have. Nothing that I'll be fabricating anytime soon, mind you, but I've been exploring a recent obsession, trying to hammer it into something useful. The concept is somewhat, how to put it, avant-garde, perhaps. But with time, I hope to put it to the test. Why so cryptic? What is this recent obsession of yours? Perhaps it would be best if I showed you. Just a moment. I'll clear away the clutter so that you can see for yourself. He turns to his terminal and rattles off a series of commands, and the windows that crowd the display disappear. You are left with a perspective view of something that looks like a cross between a scorpion's leg and the jawbone of a large carnivore. The entire assembly bristles with jagged, tooth-like protrusions. Our encounter with the Yama King was a revelatory experience to me. To see such a being up close, to watch how it moved with my own eyes, to observe the crenellations of its flesh and the sculpted ivory of its crown. I was, for a lack of a better word, inspired. Suppose I can't blame you. Janya inspired a lot of people. You're speaking of the nightmares, of course. He taps a fresh cigarette out of the pack with his pocket, lights it, and hands it from his lower lip. I suspect that the Queen with 1,000 teeth left an incredible mark on us all. At any rate, I'm still a long way off from fabricating anything usable. Emulating the physiology of a creature that should not exist is proving to be quite the design challenge. It is, however, a wonderful way to kill time between jobs. And who knows, against all odds, this work might one day bear fruit. Only time will tell. Gotta run? See you later. Now let's speak to your favorite boy, Gai Chu. Gai Chu is seated cross-legged on the floor of his cabin, his swords unsheathed in front of him. An array of tools rests nearby, and the air is thick with a scent of clove oil. The tools include a stack of small paper squares, several stones, a tiny metal pick, and a high-tech vice grip of some sort. He raises a hand in greeting as you enter. Pardon me if I do not stand well. Fine as these swords may be, they require as much maintenance as any other weapon. Burrs to be sanded out, dents to be reformed, etc. The salt air here does the blades no favors. Please, make yourself at home. What's the vice grip for? It is a diamond coating rebonder. It cannot replicate the decote process that covers the blades, but it can patch spots where the diamond edge coating has worn away or become rough. The materials are rather expensive, as you may guess. Now, what may I do for you? What do you think of our benefactors? I wonder if they did not overstate the danger of Crate and the Special Duties Unit. I do not fear much, especially not a SWAT team. I believe that they are overstating the danger that she posed to us during the riots. Certainly she is dangerous, but then so are most of the enemies we've faced. Consider it. We thwarted a AA corporation, survived the police APB, and stared down a god of death from beyond the depths of known astral space. A SWAT commander seems to pale in comparison, don't you think? Chu has proven her loyalty. If not to us, then to the mission. I confess, I had assumed that she would be the one to betray us. Lam was suspiciously enthusiastic, but I attributed that to his youth. I suppose that my prejudices against Mitsuhama blinded me. Habits of a life spent with Ranraku. Don't worry about it. We handled it. Yes. But perhaps if I were not so blinded, I would not have been such a near miss. You still have my apologies. Gaichu is a nightmare with a katana. Not a lot of things can stand up to him, and that is correct, as we've seen time and time again. That's precisely why we took him on the final mission. How do you like the Benteng? I am indifferent, I must confess. The pirates seem competent, but they are afraid of me. I briefly stepped off the big Texas, and it was made very clear to me that it would be better if I went back inside. I guess I can understand that. Yes, I rather can as well. If I were a normal man and a heavily armed and armored ghoul wanted to wander about my home, my reaction would be dubious at best. They handled it politely, but clearly. Every pirate I encountered was brandishing a weapon and watching my every move. I suppose it is no different than life in Hawaii. I am unwelcome in the streets without a chaperone. What do you think of the last run? Betrayal. It was inevitable. I do admit I suspected that it would be Chu who was responsible. Lam, he seemed too high-principled and naive to me. I suppose that I was wrong. But their trap was sprung and we defeated it. We fought our way from within a police station, finding victory where others would surely have tasted only death. Rejoice in this, my friend. It means that the enemy is stupid and underestimates us, though that may change now that we have survived their trap. Talk to you later, Gaichu. Stay cool. Cool as a cucumber or cool as a grave. Your choice, really. Now, Duncan, we gotta talk. Seriously. What's up? The Joholoa seems interesting. What do you think? I see a lot of Shadowrunner in them. Doubt that they can be trusted any more than anyone else in the shadows. You think so? They act like they're a step above most runners. Doesn't seem like they try to double-cross us. That's ripe. That's ripe. Brigands with a heart of gold. Yeah, I'm not buying it. You really want to know what I think? I think we should just let them do whatever the fuck it is that they do. I don't care if that's drinking or plundering or whatever, just so long as it doesn't interfere with our operations. I see. He still does not like being a Shadowrunner, and most likely never will. He wants his normal life back. Isabel? Isabel leans back against the octopus, her neck tilted back to what her head can rest on a thick rope of twisted wires and cables. Her misty white persona stares down on you from a wall-mounted display. The persona's white eyes look back at you. With her hands on her hips, she leans forward. Can't talk right now, Val. I'm busy. Real busy. What's so important that you have to blow me off? There's a crackle of static from the display speakers as Isabel Avatar sucks air through her teeth. Her voice quickens. All right. I'm in the middle of a fight, but I'm winning, so it's no big deal. Just destroying this Matrix jockey who's gone too far with his jokes. Got him locked in the system right now, but it's fine. It doesn't pose a danger or anything. So he's a cyberbully? Yeah, sure, whatever. He's been harassing good people for weeks, so the punishment is completely warranted. Now I've got to get back to it, or he'll break free from my torture program and... Torture? You said this wasn't dangerous. It isn't. Not to us. Listen, I can't monitor him while I'm talking to you. He could... Shit, he got around my lockout. He's probably back in meat space, pissing his pants right about now. Damn it. I wasn't done with him yet. She clicks her tongue in disappointment and her head dips dejectedly. Her persona begins to fade from the screen. Next time, I'll lock my door. Well, now that you've got my undivided attention, what is it that you desperately wanted to talk about? What do you think of that last run, huh? We saw it coming. No, we should have seen it coming. Hell, with our luck, it's a wonder that both Lam and Chu didn't turn on us. Sure, we still have the company woman on our side, but things have gotten a lot more complicated. Just for once, I wish we could be one step ahead of our enemies. Oh well, nothing but old news now. Only thing we can do is learn from it and move on. And Gobbet. Noodle machine, it's warm to the touch. You enter Gobbet's cabin to find her gulping something from a chipped plastic mug. As the mug's contents slosh and churn, a sharp antiseptic note stings your nostrils. She glances up from her drink and locks eyes with you. The pirates make this. Think it's like a kind of whiskey. She frowns down at the mug. I don't know what they make it from, but it tastes like salty turpentine. Why are you drinking it? Because I needed a drink, and this stuff kicks like a mule. I mean, it's definitely swill, but it's powerful swill. You want some? Sure, hit me with it. She hands you the mug. That antiseptic odor hits you in the sinuses again, bringing water to your eyes. It smells anything but appetizing, and it doesn't look much better. Well, bottoms up. You tilt back the mug and you fill your mouth with liquor. The flavor is repulsive. It's closer to an industrial solvent than a beverage, and your stomach turns as the fluid traces a grainy, fiery trail down your throat. Every bodily instinct that you possess urges you to spit it out, to purge yourself of the horrible poison that you've ingested. And that's why we have Willpower 6. Ignore your instincts and swallow the liquor. You fight your rebelling body and force yourself to keep the fluid down. A few seconds later, a pleasant warmth begins to radiate from your chest out through the tips of your fingers. The aftertaste is still vile, but the buzz is quite pleasant. Nicely done, Seattle. 10 points for style. So, what do you want to talk about? Go ahead and tell me. I'm all ears. Hey, Gobbet, is that a Decon noodle extruder? Yeah. Yeah, I think it is. What's it doing here? Your guess is as good as mine. I'm sure as hell wasn't in my cabin before we left for Combat Pangs, and I can't imagine why the cops would have put it here. Maybe it followed us home from DECCON. Followed us home? How could it... I don't know, alright? I don't know, alright? It's just here, waiting. Waiting? For what? I don't know, alright? I don't know. Let's just change the subject, okay? Maybe if we ignore it, it'll go away. How are you doing with all of this? I don't know. About as well as can be expected, I guess. How about you? How are you dealing with it? You got it worse than any of us, what with a magical torture and your knight locked in a box and all. Don't worry about me, Gobbet. I'll be fine. Sorry, can't help it. You're a friend, so I worry. That comes as a part of the package. With that being said, I do believe you when you say that you'll be alright. I think that we all will. I mean, if we could see what you saw in the walled city and come through all right, so we do the same here. We'll do the same here, right? Right. Of course I'm right. We're certified Yamaking killing badasses. We'll be fine. After we kill Crate, what's your next for you? Got any big plans? Not really. I'm happy with where I'm at. Even Auntie Cheng has gotten nicer since the whole walled city thing. What about you? You thinking of doing something different after this is all over? I don't know. Maybe. I haven't put a lot of thought into it. Yeah, well, don't think too hard. Things would get boring around here if you took off. I don't do well with boredom. Of course, even if you were to scurry off somewhere, I'd keep tabs on you. It's what friends do. I'd prefer if you stayed, though. You're the only person on this boat who's brave enough to eat my cooking. And that's true. How are your rats doing? Madness and Folly are fine. Give them food and a place to hide, and they can adapt to pretty much anything. They're kind of inspirational that way, you know? Give me something to look up to. You look up to your pet rats? They're positive role models, yes. You do remember who my totem is, right? I mean, seriously. Capital R, rat is a spirit totem. Madness and folly are rodents that you pulled out of a dumpster. Not the same thing, Gobbet. They're close enough, and besides, I love them, so lay off. She strokes Folly's coat. The rodent chirps happily and immediately sinks its teeth into her finger. They still have some behavioral problems, sometimes, but I still... Her sentence devolves into a series of yelps and grunts as she tries to wrestle the animal's jaws open. Positive role models, got it. You shut your stupid mouth, and as for you... She flicks Folly on the nose with a fingernail and the rat finally releases her finger. Gobbet whips her hand to her mouth and sucks on the wound. See? It all worked out in the... Ouch! In the end. If that's your takeaway, who am I to argue? No one. That's who. She takes a deep breath and thrusts her bleeding finger into a glass of alcohol on a nearby table. Now kindly steer this conversation off of my furry darlings and onto something else. Distract me so that I don't catch Folly and wring her traitorous little neck. What do you think of that last run? Well, we got some answers and we didn't get killed. That's something, I guess. Can't say I'm thrilled about being betrayed like we were or hunted down or any of that, but I guess that it beats getting shot. If there's a silver lining to be found here, I guess it's that we know where we're going next. Granted, we don't know what we'll find when we get there, but we've got a destination. That's better than nothing. Well, gotta run. Later. Rename her from folly to hubris? That's up to Gobbet to decide. And I'm sure she would mind. However, seeing as we are approaching that point in the time where we're gonna need to close up for the night, let's at least start up the next side mission. Oh, and before that, we'll speak with Sergeant Lung, and then we'll close it up for the night. So, here you are. What brings you to my corner of the yard, runner? If you have the time, I'm full of questions. Yeah, I imagine that you are. Go ahead then, ask away. So how did you wind up with this gig? Things were getting stale back in the office. Actually, they'd been stale for a few years. I needed out. Out of that lifeless recycled air, the constant sound of typing fingers, and a suffocating stench of cologne. I could smell my old boss coming down from the hall. Enjoying the change of scenery? It has its ups and downs, and ups and downs, and ups and downs. Took me a while to get past that subtle bobbing and swaying of things near the docks. I used to feel nauseated if I stared at one place for too long. I managed to get past that, but I doubt that I'd last long out on the water. Still, it's an improvement over the office. I'd rather feel sick outside than sick in a tiny room. Got any raid ideas? Not at this time, because if I am being completely honest, I am not seeing anyone else that would be up for it. From my friend list, that is. What do you do when you're not being a cop? It's hard to clock out once you've gotten your badge. A lot of rookies don't realize that it's a 24/7 lifestyle, and the better you get, the more it engulfs you. It's like a radar that won't turn off, or a sixth sense, or whatever. Point is, I don't get any free time. None? I don't believe it. Even I can find time to take it easy. You want to know what I do in my free time? I sleep. I eat. And if I'm on a new case, I sometimes try to go ahead on my research. The only breaks that cops like me really get to take are the ones that come when our superior officers force us to go on a holiday. Also scouted everything Shadowrun related. I'm guessing I'm the only one in that category right now. Well, that's a start. What do you do on holiday? More of the same, naturally. Gotcha. Gotta go now. Back to it. Nobody else? I don't think. And every other game too. No other VTubers. Well, consider that market cornered then. Once I get a proper model, that is. A powerfully built woman stands by one of the huge guns, smoking a cigarette. She's carrying a cyber deck and an assault rifle is slung alongside it. She has the wide-eyed alertness of someone who is either supernaturally hyper-aware or has a lot of headwear. Her stance is easy and relaxed. It's the posture of someone who's ready to fight or flee at a moment's notice, but doesn't expect that she'll have to. You must be Val Chair. Heard about that dust-up at the Tiger's Den. I'm glad to see that you got out alive. Yeah, me too. You working with Utama and her crew? Nah, my first time here. I'm just waiting for the rest of my crew to show up. You look exactly like I thought you would. Heard some stories about that business with Josephine Sang. You can call me Triple Alpha, by the way. Us old runners, we gotta stick together, you know? You stand by your crew, they stand by you, and you can't count on anyone else. If my crew would ever freaking get here, why am I always the first one in the scene anyway? I want to get out of the shadows and onto a beach. How big of a team do you have? Well, you've got a rigger, a mage, and an adept. I guess there's also our jack of all trades, too. She's not really very good at anything, but she's got a lot of heart. Totally unafraid to march alongside us, even if all she can manage is to plink away with that crappy pistol of hers. And then there's me. You can guess what I do. She gestures to her cyber deck and the assault rifle slung across her back. Sounds like a solid crew. They're a good bunch, highly skilled, quiet, and we get along well. You can't ask for more than that. You look like you've seen a lot of action yourself. Man, you don't know the half of it. You tally up the runs I've been on, I think I might have seen more stuff than even Fastjack. I might not be as old as him, but I think that I take jobs a lot more regularly than he does. I've been to Los Angeles and Seattle, Hong Kong and Berlin and everywhere in between. If it's a weapon, I've fired it. If there's a corporation, I've run both for and against it. It's never dull, I'll tell you what. So what are you gonna do once you're out? Aside from hit a nice beach somewhere, I don't know, there's plenty of interesting stuff to see around the world. I want to see some old ruins. You know, temples, castles, stuff like that. I like history, so I'm always excited when I go to older cities like Rome or Athens. Heck, with as much money as I've got, maybe I'll take a trip into space and play tourist there too. Never been to space before. Are you staying out of the shadows for good? Nah, I don't think so. I've been running the shadows for my whole life. It's all I've ever done. I don't know how to do anything else. This is more of a vacation. A break, if you will. I figure we take a break, hit some beaches, take in the sights that we're off the beaten path, and come back when we're rested. You keep doing the same thing forever, you're bound to burn out. You must get paid quite a lot to be able to take that much time off. I don't want to brag, but I'm kind of rolling in money, yeah. It's a little bittersweet, I guess. Not sure how long we're gonna be out of the line. It'll be a few years at least. A lot of our gear and cyberware is getting old, and it's harder to keep up with the other runners out there. That kind of upgrade takes time, you know? Not only do you have to track down the new stuff, you have to recuperate and all that. Pretty sure we'll be back though. And when we are, better watch out because we'll be top of the line. Well, see you later, Alpha, and good luck out there. Hey, you take care of yourself, okay? It's a rough world out there and nobody's gonna look out for you except your crew and yourself. Wise words. I like your style. I kinda feel like we've seen the same kind of runs. So watch your back, okay? She takes a long drag on her cigarette and flicks the butt away before lighting a new one. Always, Alpha. Good man. Never hurts to be careful. Good luck. I think we might run into each other again, after I've gotten upgraded and taken a bit of a break. Looking forward to when it happens. And there's our quartermaster. Back for more gear? If you've got the scratch, I can hook you up. Let's see your special stock. Ranged combat 7. How much karma do I have at the moment? 11. And what's my current ranged combat? 4. And 1 point in a shotgun. Suppose it's time to invest into that a little bit as well. At least a ranged combat 5 and shotgun 3. See if you've got... Let's see if you've got any shotguns. Rifle, there we go. Franchise past 22, but that's again ranged combat 7, so no, that's a no-go. And now we can go to Captain Jomo about that job of his. Let's go solve your friend's family problem. I think for that one we're gonna be taking Isabel, Rector, and Duncan. The glittering expanse of Hong Kong stretches out beneath the helicopter as Jomo weaves his way between the city's myriad skyscrapers. Rain spatters the tiny craft's windshield as it slices its way through the calm skies above the central district. Despite the late hour, the city streets below still glimmer with activity. Soon enough, the black mirrored walls of Icon Tower stretch up before you. Jomo pulls the helicopter in for a landing, depositing you on the tower's roof. Somewhere beneath your feet, Lillian Lai awaits. Nemesis Arms Gyro Jet Pistol. If I were to take that one. Ranged Combat 7, of course. So I'm still stuck with Fichetti Security 500. Ah well. And maybe it's time to replace this Dockwagon Trauma Kit with the gold one. Now, Isabel is gonna be taking at least this Night Errant Flashbang. Anything else? There's the 3 smoke grenades we snatched up, so I suppose we can grab that one, and a regular Dockwagon Trauma Kit, just in case. Now, Rector here will grab another advanced med kit. The flashbang grenade too, and I'm thinking, no, not Toko, but Relaxin, I'm thinking. And again, a smoke grenade wouldn't be amiss too. Now Duncan will grab the Steyr Og and the gold Dockwagon Trauma Kit. That should be fine. Amid rain and the deafening roar of Jomo's rotor wash, you jump down onto Icon Tower's helipad. Red lights strobe softly in the myriad antennas and satellite dishes that dot the building's roof, and all of Hong Kong stretches out below you. As quickly as he brought the borrowed helicopter in, Jomo revs the engine and lifts away from the Fuji facility. Jomo here. I'm taking off and I'll make a pass around the tower. You go down and get the girl, I'll swoop back in and we'll be all off. Easy, la? 10-15 minutes tops. Sounds good to me. That's what Jomo likes to hear. Radio me when you get the girl and I'll be back here faster than Uncle Carpal finishes his lunch. After that, we go and meet her protection team to make the handoff and everyone gets drunk. That one comes later. I see no immediate surprises on the rooftop. My sense of humor is impeccable. However, I believe this is a suitable cliffhanger for us to end this episode on. I'm gonna be saving over here. Shadows of Hong Kong bonus. Now give it a second and we are out into the main menu. Now, of course, this is the part where we say goodbyes. I'm hoping you enjoyed the game, especially that solid start with the breaking out of the police station. Lots of reading to be done, sure, but that's what CRPGs are for. They're mostly text. And yes, I'll see you tomorrow for K-pop Demon Hunters and hopefully more M Son of the Century. But for now, thank you all for coming, and I'll see you all next time.